Please make a lot of noise for Trae Crowder!
Well, shit. Glad to be here in Dallas. I'm glad to be at a comedy club. We're not always. Sometimes we do weird things. Like earlier this year, I did stand up at a lawyers conference in Miami. And yeah, I don't know why either. I guess they were like, this guy's got felons in his family. He knows lawyer stuff probably. But so I did this lawyers conference. It was fine because honestly, there was a point in time in my life where I thought I might want to be a lawyer when I grew up because I had somehow got it in my head that lawyer is one of the only white collar jobs you can have when you talk like a racist banjo, right? Well, I think I don't know if it's because of Atticus Finch or Matlock or what it is, but for some reason, people are okay with Southern lawyers. You know what I mean? It's all right to be a Southern lawyer. And I could see myself doing that as a kid. Like, I could see myself walking into court in a seersucker suit, just dabbing the prodigious whiskey sweat from my brow, like, from my grandpappy's handkerchief, you know, setting it down, hitting them with some old-timey nonsense. Like, Your Honor, if you think my client's going to spend one more night in the hoose gal, you crazy as a gravy-covered cat in a barnyard full of bloodhounds, you is. The jury's just like, this guy's too dumb to be duplicitous. I inherently trust this man. Not guilty, right? I could see that, but no, as it turns out, I'm not but a simple giggle monger as things happen. But yeah, I was in Miami in February, and right before that, I did stand up in Phoenix in January. And those two experiences combined led me to developing this new sociological theory I've been working on this year. And my theory is this. I think that the hot sun makes white people go insane. That's what I think. That's what I think happens. Because you think about all the parts of this country where the white people are the craziest, it's where the sun is the hottest, you know? It's like out west, it's Arizona, east of the Mississippi, it's the entire American South, you know? And even within the South, the maxim holds true. The further south you go, the hotter the sun is, the crazier the crackers are, right? Like you start out in Kentucky, Virginia, it's not so bad. You get to Alabama, it's like, ugh, and then you wind up in Florida and they're throwing alligators through drive-through windows and shit. These motherfuckers are crazy. You ain't supposed to be like that. I think it's the hot sun. I do think the hot part is important. I say that because I live in Southern California and like there's plenty of sun out there, but it's not hot for most of the year. For most of the year, it's like sunny and 72. And like the white people in LA, they're delusional, but they're not scary though, right? Like it's a different type of crazy. You know what I mean? But you leave LA, you start driving out east into the desert, they start to turn, man. They do. Like next thing you know, you're driving by Uncle Shooty's biker shop and Nazi stuff emporium. It's like, oh, this ain't good. Worrisome. I don't even think it has to be prolonged exposure to the hot sun. I think if the sun is hot enough, the effect can be acute in nature. Like, I think white people in the hot sun are like werewolves in the moonlight. Like, it just brings the monster out of us, you know? Like that you could take the most white bread, milquetoast data analyst from Kalamazoo, you send him to Las Vegas for a weekend conference. By Sunday, he's standing out in the middle of the strip with his dick out like, fuck you, Sphinx! I bet the house is the roulette table and I don't give a fuck. It fucks us up, man. That's why I'm so worried about this recent trend of like white dude bros sunning their taints and stuff. Like I said, that's a real thing. Fox News talked about Tucker Carlson, did a whole segment on it. It's a real thing. It's a real thing they're doing. They're like purposefully exposing their buttholes and their genitals and their taints and stuff to concentrated UV lights for like power-up purposes or something. And nothing good's gonna come out of that, man. Nothing. I'm telling you, take a heavily bearded alpha male going through a divorce, he starts sunning his taint, next thing you know, Proud Boys. That's what happens. That's how the Proud Boys started. It's a problem. I don't think it's just an American problem, though. I think this is a global phenomenon. Like, for example, if you think about like England, right? Like in England, the sun is a myth, right? It's very... Very gray, rainy. And you could say English white people, they've been evil and colonially over the years, but they're not crazy though. No, they're not. They're very prim, proper, buttoned up. Yes, quite. That's how they are. But you take England, leave it in the hot sun for a couple hundred years, bam, Australia. That's what you get. Australia, AKA the Florida of Oceania. I love Australians. They're a lot of fun, but they're down there fist fighting kangaroos and using the word like a punctuation mark. This shit ain't normal. You ain't supposed to be like that. I think it's the hot. And there's one thing you can bring up to give me some issues with this. You could be like, well, Trae, what about like Russia, right? Russia, they got all them white people, no hot sun, crazy as a shithouse rat. How do you explain that, right? There's a couple ways of looking at that. You could look at that as like, yeah, my theory's dead in the water before we even get started. Or you could look at that as like, what if that's just their baseline, you know? It's like, what if that's just their starting point? Like imagine what might happen if we expose Russia to the hot sun for a while. Like, that's the real danger of climate change right there. We don't all start recycling more. It's going to be Mad Max and Adidas tracksuits in no time. Like I said, I live in Southern California. It's fine for the most part. My accent is a problem for me out there. Like, I found out there, this accent can fuck up any words. Like, it don't matter how smart the words might be, this accent will fuck them up, you know? Like you could take a famous quote like John Lennon's, "Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans." You say that to people in any other accent, they're like so profound, such wisdom. But you say it in my accent, "Life's what happens when you're busy making other plans." Oh no, he's not gonna tell us his plans, is he? I don't want to hear this guy's plans. They probably involve truck nuts and tiki torches. This is bad. Let's get out of here. Like, best case scenario is maybe I come across as folksy, you know, like folksy's the best you can hope for when you talk like this. And my people got all these little sayings and phrases that help with that perception, especially if you're from the middle of nowhere like I am. But even that's not always great. You know, like I'll be at some party in LA, we run out of beer, and I'm like, well, guess somebody better ride into town, pick up some more. And they're just like, ride into town? What, are we out of sorghum? Has Molly took the fever? Why are you saddling up, cowboy? We'll just DoorDash it. And obviously the number one concern with this accent is with this accent, you're on permanent racism probation, right? Like it's a zero strike rule. People will default to racism every time, no matter what you actually meant. And when you couple that with all those little country ass sayings we have, it's a fucking minefield, dude. It is. I find myself thinking all the time, I'm like, that's not a racist phrase, right? That's just that's just like an old country phrase. There's nothing racist about that phrase, right? But you never know for sure with those old-timey phrases like that. So I'll psych myself out about it. I'll be in LA and somebody's like, hey, you talked to Jeremy lately? I'm like, dude, I ain't seen Jeremy in a squirrel's age. You know how squirrels live a really long time. Everybody's always talking about that and stuff. That's all I meant. I try to make myself feel better by telling myself it's not a Southern accent thing, it's an American accent thing. Like the idea that any thick regional American accent can sound kind of dumb, not just this one, you know? Like if you go to the doctor to get some test results back, yeah, you don't want this accent from the doctor. I know, you don't, right? You don't. But you also don't want some meatball from the Bronx, you know, like, listen, this is what it is, you got stage 4 cancer, what are you gonna do? No, what are you gonna do? I'll tell you what you're gonna do. You're gonna take your fucking chemo, you're gonna take your radiation, you're gonna kick cancer's ass. Actually, I didn't want a Bronx doctor. I take that back. That sounds pretty inspiring, actually. But like if you're on a plane in the Midwest and the pilot comes on like, okay, got a little snow system up here, just gonna scooch right by there, don't you know? No whoops-a-daisies today, no sir, gonna be a hoot. A hoot? What am I, in a fucking Coen Brothers movie right now? Like, people ain't supposed to talk like that. I think even a thick California accent can sound dumb. And if you don't know what I mean by thick California accent, I'll explain myself with one sound. Not a word, a sound. That shit sounds pretty dumb. But no, I live in fear in LA of coming across as racist accidentally just because of my accent, you know, but I'm also out there being a comedian, which means I go on auditions and stuff, and it turns out when you're a white dude with this accent, you will audition exclusively to play racist. That's how that works. That's how that... Dude, you can make a compilation reel of my audition tapes that would make Paula Deen blush, dude. Like, it's brutal. Brutal. Every time. Open up this new audition, it's like, oh, this is a fun premise with a talented director and a stacked cast. Let's see. I'm reading for the role of Billy Ray. This should be fun. Let's see what this is like. Then I open it up, and every time it's like, Billy Ray sits alone at the dining room table, skinning a rattlesnake. Suddenly, a knock at the door. Billy Ray gently places the knife on the nearby nightstand next to the neatly folded Klan robe. Like, God damn it. Every fucking time. It's never the hillbilly with a heart of gold, dude. Ever. It's always, and then I don't get that role, and I don't know how to feel about that, you know, because I'm conflicted. Because part of me is like, Trae, that's good. That says something good about you, that they can't see you as genuinely being that type of vehement racist, you know. But the other part of me that wants to get these jobs is like, you don't think I could be in the Klan? I could be in the Klan right now, goddamn. My granddad was in the Klan, motherfucker. You don't know. I'm just kidding. He was. I mean, as far as I know, he wasn't in the Klan. I don't know. He did keep a lot of secrets, but yeah. And then months later, that TV show or movie will come out, and that role is played by like a British or Australian guy, and that fucks me up even more. Because like one of the biggest things in Hollywood right now is representation. The whole like, if you got a gay character in a movie, it should be played by a gay actor. That whole thing, and they take that shit very seriously too. For the most part, they do. They're taking it so seriously. At this point, it feels like if you got a script with a paraplegic protagonist in it, you better hope somebody at Juilliard gets hit by a fucking bus. Because otherwise, they're going to be upset with you. People are going to write some articles about you. That's how seriously they're taking representation, yet all the redneck characters are played by classically trained Shakespearean Brits, you know? Like, Netflix has got a project set in deep Appalachia. The director calls cut, and half the cast is just like, tea time, is it? You know, I must admit it is taxing portraying these hill people for hours on end, But as an artist, I ask myself, what would the hill person do? How would the hill person feel after the loss of their beloved pet opossum? What would they... Would they mourn the loss, or would they simply eat the beast? What would they do? Right? But if you look it up, you can find articles that explain why they do that. You find these articles that tell you, well, you know, linguistically speaking, the British accent is actually very close phonetically to the American Southern accent. That's why those actors are so adept at portraying those roles. I'm like, oh, that's fascinating. You know who else is adept at that? Actors from the South. Probably also pull it off, I bet. That's what they say is happening, but here's what I think is really going on. I think those studio executives are having meetings going over upcoming projects, and their assistant is like, this one's got a gay protagonist. I got the perfect gay actor. This one's got some biracial characters in it. I got a whole list of tremendously talented biracial actors. This next one's got some redneck characters in it. Yeah, I don't know if our insurance is going to cover that. That might present some liability concerns. We might need to go to Plan B. Let's see, redneck characters. Is Benedict Cumberbatch available? Because you know, linguistically speaking, I like that bit because it's sort of like at the end of the day, I'm just up here like any other redneck comedian. Like, these goddamn immigrants are taking our jobs. But it's not surprising, you know, if you spend time on the coast, they have a very low opinion of the red states, of the southern states out there. You know, they think the whole South is just crazy racist. And I mean, yeah, sure. Sure, but we're not the only ones. Like, racism's an American problem. That's what bothers me about it. You know, like, I'll talk to people in LA sometimes. They know I'm from the South. They want to know. They're like, you're from there. Be honest. That type of institutional racism. Tell us about that. I'm like, why are you asking me about it when the LAPD is right there? Like, LA's got a totally clean slate racially. I'm sorry, I forgot. The NWA stood for nice, we're appreciated. You remember Ice Cube and all their album covers? Just, things are great out here. No, LA's got their own shit to worry about, racially speaking, and it's not all ancient history either. It still crops up sometimes. Like last year, there was this LA city councilwoman. She got caught on tape just putting on a racism clinic for the whole world to see. And dude, it was wild. She was racist against like 8, 9 different types of people. Like, there was Alabama papaws taking notes during this shit. They were like, is that a new slur? Write that down. She made me realize something I never thought of before, which is like, yes, the South has more racists and more racism, generally speaking, but I'm now convinced that if racism was a sport, in a one-on-one, an LA racist could absolutely hang with an Alabama racist because of the versatility of their game. You know what I mean? They got more tools in their bag. You know, like Alabama racists, they're real solid in the fundamentals. You know, like black people, Mexicans, the gays. When it comes to that, they'll sit in the pocket, they'll find a rhythm, they can go all day long, right? They're lethal. Most of them never even met a Jewish person, but they've heard enough to be dangerous, right? They got a puncher's chance if that comes up. But beyond that, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? This lady was racist against Armenians. Papaws ain't got the skill set for that. Papaws can't spell Armenian, man. I'm just saying, if it was a heavyweight championship racism bout, the Papaw would be in the corner sitting on a stool, shaking his head, just like, she's throwing shit at me I've never seen before, man. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Yeah, it's a wild time in this country. Things are very divided. Things are weird right now. It makes it hard to be optimistic about things. People ask me that question all the time. They're like, how do you have any kind of optimism considering the world we live in? And for a long time, I didn't have any real answer for them. For a long time, I was just like, get drunker. I don't know. It's bad. Bad. But now recently, thanks to my wife, I have discovered an answer to that question. I'm not saying y'all are going to like this answer, but I do have an answer to that question. I now feel if you want to feel generally positive about the current state of the United States of America on a global cultural scale, what you need to do is you need to watch 90 Day Fiance on TLC, because you watch that shit and you realize America must be doing something right, dude. Because people all around this world are lining up, doing whatever it takes, throwing it all away just for the chance to make it somewhere in the Midwest. They don't give a fuck where they end up, dude. They'll do anything, up to and including marrying the biggest jabroni in the state of Ohio, gladly. They'll interview this guy on there. He's like, yeah, my name's Jason. I'm a 35-year-old dodgeball coach. And ever since my mom kicked me out, I've been looking for Miss Right, you know, like the type of woman that knows how to load the dishwasher and keep her mouth shut during Buckeyes games, that type of thing, right? And you're listening like, I don't like your chances, Jason. You don't seem like much of a catch to me. Then they cut to some beautiful girl in Estonia or somewhere like that, just like, Jason is man of my dreams. I often fantasize about being with him and eating hamburger helper off of paper plate. In the Shangri-La known as Dayton, Ohio. Dying to get over here. Then they get over here and their eyes are filled with wonder, you know, like Jason takes that same girl to like an Olive Garden in a Dayton strip mall or something. And she's just sitting there like, oh, this spaghetti for one person? It's like, fuck yeah, that's how we do, goddammit. Land of plenty, baby, USA. I don't know, makes me feel better. Makes me feel worse at the same time, but it also makes me feel better. But I know it's a tough time in this country. I go all around this country doing this stuff. We're here in Texas. You guys are wild. Y'all have a bunch of wild shit going on. Yeah. Texas had a wild thing going on the past few years, the past few like election cycles, during like the Beto era and all that. In the run up to the election, you'll start seeing these coastal journalists. They'll start putting out these articles and analysis and shit, coming out being like, don't look now. This could be the year, y'all. Some intriguing polling numbers. This could be the year that Texas turns. Who knows? The world's not ready for that. And then every election night, Texas is like, gotcha, queers. Yeehaw. Y'all actually bought that shit, huh? No, we wilder than ever, baby. We got abortion posses. We're FedEx and Mexicans. What's up? Let's go. You want some? We'll send you some. What kind you want? We got all kinds. We got Guatemalan Mexicans, Costa Rican Mexicans, you name it, buddy. Texas. This is how wild Texas is. I got a buddy that lived in Texas for like 10 years, and he told me recently, he was like, did you know there's a state-level Republican congressman in Texas who's been trying to pass legislation that would make bestiality legal in the state of Texas? As soon as he told me that, I started telling everybody I knew. I was like, y'all heard what Texas is doing? Listen to this shit. And this is how wild Texas is. I never met 1 ounce of skepticism anywhere. Like, anywhere. Like, even within the state of Texas, no one was ever like, that don't sound right. Are you sure about that? Universally across the board, everybody's like, yeah, I've been waiting on that to happen. That is pretty on brand. Right, which is particularly damning because it turns out my friend was wrong. There's not a congressman here trying to make bestiality legal. He was wrong about that. But to be fair to my friend, that is a real argument that does exist on the internet. If you Google it right now, you can find people out there being like, no, bestiality should be legal. You want to know why? And you're like, no, I don't. I've never wanted to know anything less, in fact. But I've also never been more confident in my position on a subject than I am on this one right now. It don't matter what you say. I know where I stand on this particular matter. So sure, go ahead, why not? Why should bestiality be legal? And they're like, bestiality should be legal because it's not like these animals are signing off on us slaughtering and eating them either. And you're like, that's more sense than I was prepared for you to make. I'm upset at how logical that is, frankly. Because I like cheeseburgers and now I'm sad. Right, because it turns out it's a vegan argument. There's vegans out there trying to make that argument in an effort to illustrate to people how fucked up it is that we eat animals at all. They're trying to draw this parallel, right? And I know what they're trying to do, but I also know how America works. So I know they think Americans are going to see that argument and be like, damn, they're right. We shouldn't be eating them. But I know Americans are going to hear that argument and be like, damn, they're right. We should be fucking them. Tenderize my beef, baby. Why not? We gonna eat them anyway. Might as well fuck them first. What a missed opportunity this has been. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. You purple-headed weirdo. Speaking of purple-headed weirdos, I was in Portland, Oregon recently too, and Portland's interesting for a whole other reason. I feel like Portland is kind of a snapshot of the way the far right looks at the far left in general in this country. And it's an interesting combination of stereotypes that they hold for these people. Like, everybody in my hometown thinks Portland is just a bunch of emaciated baristas with a handlebar mustache, you know. And I tell them that's ridiculous. Portland's a vast metropolis made up of an eclectic array of all different types of mustaches. Like, it's not just handlebar, but they both think it's like hipster Portlandia shit, but also that it's Fallujah for socialists, you know? Like, that's where the most hardcore Antifa super commandos are garrisoned at, right? And that's a weird combination of stereotypes to hold for the same people. It's like they think everybody in Portland is getting dressed up as a Victorian-era haberdasher, right? To go set City Hall on fire And then they make fun of them for that. Like that's a point of ridicule. And I'm like, dude, I don't know about you, but I feel like if I was in the middle of a full-scale riot and all of a sudden a chimney sweep-looking sumbitch emerged from the smoke bomb haze on top of one of them big front-wheel bicycles, like, I wouldn't fuck with that guy. That's how you get choked out with a pocket watch chain. Whimsical anarchy? You don't want no part of that. But they both condescend to the far left for being limp-wristed soy boys, but they're terrified of them at the same time. That's a weird dynamic. You know, it's like their general outlook on them is like, check out this little pussy. Oh shit, is he coming over here? No, hey, I love Sprouts, I love him, please don't make me gay. It's a weird thing to believe, you know, but people believe all kinds of weird shit right now. Like on a related note, I feel like white supremacy's been having a moment in this country the past few years. White supremacy's wild to me for a few reasons. First of all, I feel like every white supremacist I've ever seen is pretty much the least supreme looking motherfucker. Like, I've never seen an avowed white supremacist and thought to myself, behold, the pinnacle of man. Like it's not a bunch of Hemsworths walking around with swastika tattoos, you know? It's not. Your average white supremacist walks in looking like Busted Magazine's fuck up of the year, 2005. Walks in with a tattoo on his neck of a skull that's got more teeth than he does. Walks in looking like he's about to invent a whole new type of hepatitis. Ain't even thought up yet. Looking like that, talking about supremacy, I think that's wild. I also think it's wild to keep believing in supremacy considering all the L's they've taken over the course of this country's history, you know? Like, I know it's easy to look around right now and feel like they're doing pretty okay, but really they've mostly lost every major battle they fought up until this point, and they keep talking about supremacy. Like, I feel like the mood of their meetings had to get weirder and sadder over the years, you know? Like, they came into the meeting in 1865, like, okay, so they freed all the slaves. Big whoop. Look, they still can't marry our women. They still can't go to our schools. Hey, how's that ever going to change, guys? It ain't like women can vote, okay? It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. 1965, they come into the meeting like, okay, so they can drink from our water fountains now, so we can't legally harass them just for coming into the same diner anymore. But look, there's got to be something we can do to legally harass these people still. Come on. Jimmy, Johnny, Lee, Roy, Leroy, Ricky, Randy, Billy, Bobby, Mike, Steve, Stuart, Stanley, Danny, David. You guys are cops. Put your heads together, Ricky. We can figure this out. All right, it's not like one of them's the president. 2008, they come in kicking shit over like, okay, all right, this is a tough pill to swallow, I'm not gonna lie. But look, we gotta focus on the positives, guys. Like, hey, it's not like they're gonna start taking the Confederate flag down, all right? They're not gonna start pulling down the statues or renaming the streets or nothing like that. And hey, gay people still can't get married. That's something, right? Some guy in the back's like, aren't some gay guys white men? Shouldn't they be supreme too? It's like, no, Bobby, they don't count. You know that. Listen, we got to focus on the positives, guys. Like, hey, there's still no blacks in country music. Same guy in the back's like, what about Darius? Shut the fuck up, Bobby. Jesus Christ. Gay marriage gets legalized, they're just smoking cigarettes, staring at the wall. Like, I don't know. Y'all know what transgenders are? And they've been flailing with that shit ever since, but they mostly lose, you know? The other reason white supremacy is wild to me is I feel like I never really identified as white. I'm not about to do some Rachel Dolezal shit. That's what I'm about to do. This will make more sense in a minute, I promise. What I mean is, my whole life growing up poor, rural Tennessee, whenever I heard others talk about white people, in my head that was always like Connecticut, yacht club, like Dill. Is that Dill? Like in white people, right? Like white people. And I didn't know what I was, but I knew I wasn't the same thing as them. And it was very confusing to me as a young man. Now that I'm an adult, it couldn't be more clear. I'm not white, I'm white trash. Right? And it's like, and it is different. It is different. There's a whole list of differences. Like white people got a trust fund, white trash people got trust issues. It's like, white people got a sister who's secretly a lesbian. White trash people got a sister who's secretly their mama. White people play golf with their boss on the weekends. White trash people play scratch-offs with their rent money on payday. Different. The way they have kids is different. Nowadays, white people wait till they're 35 to have kids. They got in vitro clinics, ovulation calendars, fertility stuff. White trash people more fertile than an Amish cornfield, baby. You can't stop us from having kids, no matter how hard you try. The way they name those kids is different. White parents are like, Braden, Paisley, it's time for your piccolo lessons. Right? White trash parents like, Remington, Bassmaster. Quit exploding them frogs, get in the goddamn house. It's different. I know. I have kids. Of course I have kids. I worry about my kids all the time on account of this trash blood I gave them. You know, like I try to raise them right, but I worry at the end of the day my trash blood will be too much for them to overcome, you know? Like nobody should be forced to be giving my blood, dude. Like the Red Cross looks at my family history and they're like, we're good. Thanks, though. Right? Like, thank God for my wife for diluting it with hers a little bit, you know? But like, I love my wife, but she's from a different town in rural Tennessee. Like, her blood ain't top shelf for nothing, you know? Like, let's be honest. Like, my wife's blood is like boxed wine, you know? It's like, it's nobody's favorite, but people can handle it in a pinch, you know? My blood's just moonshine made in a radiator, dude. Like, it's just poison. That's all it is. Right? So I worry all the time about how my kids are going to turn out, right? But believe it or not, living in Los Angeles has kind of helped me with this. Because, like, you live in LA, you look around, you see plenty of rich white kids that are all fucked up too, you know? And it makes me feel better. I'm like, oh, well, maybe it's not about the blood. Maybe it's just a crapshoot either way, right? But I got to say, I feel like that's another way in which they're different is childhood trauma. Because, like, rich white kids are like, yeah, my mother was never very emotionally available, and I've got a lot of residual psychological scarring from that. And white trash kids are like, I got beat with a tire iron. I have actual scars from that. Like, you see that? That's a tire iron scar. That's what that is. I believe that's not cool. You shouldn't do what I just did. You shouldn't, like, diminish other people's trauma just because you didn't personally experience it. But it's a whole thing with poor people. It's so hard for poor people to believe that rich people went through any kind of genuine adversity, no matter what the circumstances were, you know? Like, when all that Epstein shit was coming out, I guarantee you there was people in trailer parks all around this country watching that. Like, they got to go to an island? I was in my uncle's El Camino. What the fuck? Yeah. Yeah, that one's rough, I know. But yeah, I don't know. Obviously, I'm just trying to be a good trash daddy. That's all I'm saying. Trying to be a good trash daddy. Sometimes I worry I've overcorrected. Sometimes I worry that mine are too California-y, you know? Like my older son, he's a vegetarian for moral reasons, right? Which, like, that's fine with me, but you know what my papa would say about that? Fucking, he'd get canceled for it. I can tell you that much. It wouldn't be good. I just look at them sometimes. I'm like, man, these kids are soft. They're fucking soft, right? But I realize I'm such trash that what I think is soft is actually just a standard middle-class American upbringing, right? Like, that's all it is. Like my wife went school clothes shopping for them, and she let them pick through what she brought home. And she told me, she was like, yeah, they don't like anything in this pile, so I'm going to return those tomorrow. And I was like, what do you mean they don't like anything in that pile? What does that have to do with anything? They know when I was a kid, school clothes came in a garbage bag after my older cousin went back to juvie. I've been a Raiders fan for 30 years because of that motherfucker. Who gives a shit what they like, right? I'll try to roast them some fresh vegetables. I didn't know you could get vegetables not in a can until I was 28 years old, right? Like, blew my mind. I try to share this wondrous revelation with my children. I'll roast them some fresh broccoli, cauliflower. I'll church it up, put some balsamic drizzle on it, whatever. It don't matter. They're just picky. They just want it. They just don't want it. I'm sitting there like, I ate squirrels, God damn it. Who the fuck do you think you are? The other day, my 11-year-old got cold in the house, so he just went and turned the thermostat up a little bit. Like, didn't ask somebody nothing, didn't say nothing to nobody. Just walked over there and just turned it up. I could feel the souls of my ancestors telling me to slap his ass. But I didn't do it. Trying to be a good trash daddy. I am definitely white trash. I want to tell y'all what I think is the single most white trash thing about me. This is a 100% true story. So my parents got divorced when I was 7, and I know you're like, yeah, we figured. Can't believe they were married at all. But yeah, they were. They got divorced back then, early 90s, rural Tennessee. Parents get divorced. Mama just kind of got custody by default. That's just how it worked, you know. So my mom got custody of us, but my dad was like, okay, but they're going to live with me, though. And the judge was just like, ain't you got a Camaro to work on or something? Just let her have them, bro. Right, but we lived with my dad, and because we lived with my dad, he didn't pay her any child support, because in his eyes, that was bullshit. And apparently, that was bullshit is not a formally recognized legal defense for not paying child support, right? You can't just plead that's some bullshit, as it turns out. So my dad accumulated all this debt to the state over the course of his life. When he dies years back, I had to reconcile all that, which I didn't know was a thing, but it is in the right circumstances. For example, if you owe money to the state. It's like everything with money works the same way, really. It's like, you know how like if you got a lot of money in the bank will give you more money for having all that money in the bank. But if you ain't got no money in the bank will charge you money for not having no money in the bank, right? It's like everything works that way with money, including inheritance. It's like if you're rich and your parent dies, you're sad, but you got a new lake house or the throne of England or whatever. Like there's upsides to it. You know, but if you're poor and your parent dies, you're poor plus they're poor. And I'm generationally poor, dude. I come from old no money. Right? So I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. My friends see this. They become concerned. They're like, damn, man, who you owe money to? I was like, I got to pay his fucking child support, man. They're like, heard that, but I thought you had both your kids. No, not on them, on me. I'm so white trash, I got to pay my own child support. And the worst part is I can't stand this little motherfucker. Always laying around my house, eating up my food, starting fights with my wife, talking shit about me in my own head. He sucks. So I was trying to figure out what I was going to do, and I finally get a call from the state of Tennessee one day. They're being very helpful. They're like, is there anything we can do to help? Like, are there any assets you can liquidate? And I was like, what? And they're like, is there any shit you could sell? I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, well, there's the house I grew up in where my Mima still lives. And they're like, that's perfect. So what you do is you sell that house, use the proceeds to pay us off, do with the rest as you see fit. And it all kind of clicked for me in that moment. And I was like, so you're telling me that I need to sell the house I grew up in where my Mima still lives so I can pay y'all my own child support? And she was like, can we call you back? And I got a call a couple hours later from her manager, and he was like, yeah, listen, don't worry about that. We wiped all that out. We took care of it. And that's the first time in my life that I was like, damn, maybe I am white. I've had to reckon with something recently. That's nothing new for me. I've come from a reckoning people. I love to reckon. But had to reckon with something in particular. I may have been unfair to a certain class of people, you know, over the years, because I've made a lot of fun of, like, conspiracy theorists. How could you be dumb enough to believe some shit like that? It might have been a little hypocritical of me, because it turns out I'm really, really, really into all this alien shit that's been going on. We're living in a golden age of alien shit, y'all. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, congratulations on your stable life and working brain and all that. That's good. Happy for you. But it's a golden age of alien stuff, and I didn't realize there was anything remotely problematic or weird about that. I'd be on Twitter looking for alien shit. I started noticing whenever I saw somebody sharing alien stuff, I clicked that guy's profile. His bio would be like, husband, father, patriot, the earth is flat, release the crack and the truth shall set you free. Right? And I was like, well, that's weird. I don't know why it can't be reputable journalistic sources for my alien news. I don't know why it's always some fringe lunatic. That's odd. Right? I didn't put it together for an embarrassingly long time. I remember when it finally clicked for me. I was on Twitter looking for alien stuff. I saw this guy going on a big, long video tirade about alien shit, and I was so into it. He was like, yeah, the government don't want the common man to know the truth about this shit. And I was like, that's right, brother, they don't. Keep going. He was like, just like they don't want you to know the truth about the global cabal of vampiric pedophiles harvesting adrenochrome from the blood of the innocent. And I was like, well... I don't think that's exactly the same thing. Because, see, that is clearly some made-up bullshit that no rational adult would ever believe to be true. And this is, oh, no. I'm a fucking wingnut, right? I don't know why I'm so into alien stuff. I think maybe it's a redneck thing. There is some weird chemistry. There's some weird connection with rednecks and aliens. There always has been. If you think about anybody you've ever seen on the news talking about getting abducted and probed, like it's never a heart surgeon, you know? It's always my Uncle Bubbles, man. Every time it's always Randy Quaid from Independence Day. Every time, that's who it is. They only take rednecks, evidently. I mean, really, rednecks should hate these motherfuckers because they've been profiling us like the police profile black dudes for generations. They have goddamn smart-ass alien walks up like, do you know why I abducted you this evening? I don't know, maybe because I'm driving a beat-up Chevy with an Earnhardt sticker. It's fucking bullshit, man. Third time this month, goddamn. But it's okay. I try to find the silver lining in everything. And I tell you what that says to me. That says to me that rednecks evidently have among the sweetest, most choice anuses you can find. Anywhere. Anywhere. Think about it. Think if these little gray bastards could be probing any backside on God's green earth, nay, the cosmos. But they keep coming back for that hillbilly brown eye. What's that tell you? That's brand loyalty, man. There's got to be a reason for that. I'm just saying. So, yeah, next time somebody's like, oh, black guys, oh, they got big dicks. Yeah, well, rednecks got the juiciest buttholes in the Milky Way. What now? My mama love that joke. That was Meemaw's favorite joke. Now, but I don't know. It's like maybe it's where I grew up, you know. Maybe it's a rural thing specifically, you know, because it does have a big impact on you growing up in the middle of nowhere. Like, dude, I grew up in rural America in the 90s, and from what I can tell, that's kind of like growing up in regular America in the 70s, you know. Like I hear people who grew up in the 70s talk about it, and they're like, oh, our parents didn't care. We rode on the hood of the car. Like our favorite hobbies was trying to kill each other with darts in the yard and diving into rock quarries and shit. And I'm like, I mean, we had Nickelodeon, but other than that, yeah, same thing. Same thing. Like, The rural parents in the 90s didn't give a fuck, dude. I mean, look, they loved us and all that, but looking back, it feels like our safety was not of paramount concern to them, you know? And it wasn't ignorance either. Like in the preceding generations, there were all these things that were dangerous to kids that parents had not found out about yet. You know, stuff like lead in paint, asbestos in the walls, pedophiles in church. They didn't know, right? Like they didn't know. Parents didn't know. But by the 90s, our parents had all that information and they were still just like, man, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, supervise them all the time? Ain't nobody got time for that. Now get them in the bed of the truck before I'm too drunk to drive them to the fair. They didn't give a fuck, man. I think all the time about me and my little sister. We were in the summertime, we'd stay with our grandma in the projects, and every morning at 9 a.m. we'd leave and just be gone all day. No cell phones, no checking in, just gone till the sun went down, right? And it's like, it's not that she was unaware of any potential dangers to us. I know because she would follow us onto the porch and yell after me, Trae, you watch out for your little sister. There's a lot of crazy people in this world. Somebody will snatch her ass up. Right. And I'm just yelling back like, I'm 9, but okay. Like, the fuck was I supposed to do about it? They couldn't snatch me up too? I'm kind of offended in retrospect. It's like my grandma was saying, yeah, they don't want your little fat ass, but her, they'll take her. And if they take her, we're all gonna be real upset. So you better keep your head on a swivel, right? But we might have been better off because the other thing about my grandma was, and I love this woman, I worship this woman, but the other thing about her was she lived in an 800 square foot apartment. She smoked 2 packs of Marlboro Reds a day, never opened a door, never cracked a window. It was like, well, hey, you gonna pay her light bill? Yeah, that's why I keep the goddamn door closed, all right? Like, yep, so it was like a 1920s bookie operation in there. It was just like just a constant haze of cowboy killer smoke hovering, I'd say roughly, I don't know, child's forehead high. So we're just making little chemtrails run through her apartment all day, right? Everybody was totally fine with that. You know, so like, what were our options? We could either stay inside and be speed running emphysema and watching Ricky Lake, or go outside and end up in a van roulette, you know? You got to pick your poison. And I never thought twice about any of that until I had my own kids. Now I'm mortified thinking about that. Like, dude, if my 11-year-old was headed out the door with his brother and I was like, hey, where you going, buddy? Oh, we're just going to climb up the old piles of scrap material behind the abandoned factory for a while. We call it King of Tetanus Mountain. Dude, I would call CPS on myself, man. But our parents were just like, that sounds neat. Maybe if you got time, you can shimmy across the catwalk under the bridge like we used to do. Jesus Christ, was the government giving out life insurance policies on trailer babies? Like, what the fuck? What point are you actively trying to get rid of us, man? Rural parents back then didn't give a fuck. If you need any more proof they didn't give a fuck, look no further than the haircuts they sent us to school with every day. That dude. Rural parents in the 90s were just like, oh shit, I forgot he's got school pictures tomorrow. Sit down there, buddy. Hey, baby, bring me them clippers and that chili bowl. I'll line him up real quick. There we go. There you go. Now don't forget to wear your Skinner shirt and smile real big. For a huge chunk of my childhood, I had a rat tail. A rat tail. It's right there in the name, man. It's like my mom was taking me to the barbershop / my aunt who dropped out of beauty school's trailer, right? And set me down like, yeah, give him something that sends the message what type of garbage people we are, you know? Like something that makes other children inherently mistrust and fear him upon a glance. Something shifty, you know? Yes, truly, I can think of no better animal after which to fashion the appearance of my firstborn than the ass end of a rat, specifically. That's what my baby needs. It's ridiculous, man. All right, listen, y'all having fun so far? Good. I asked because I'm gonna try to ruin that real quick before we go, if I could, because yeah, I can be polarizing. I can be divisive. That's not news to y'all. This is about to be the most divisive thing you've ever heard me say. And I know some of y'all are like, no, Trae, we're on your team. It's all right. Go ahead. Speak your truth. No, some of you about to feel betrayed by this. You are. But I have to be true to myself. I have to do it. So here it goes. I've about had it with dog people and their bullshit. I think... yeah. Hey. You hear that? You hear that response? Dude, I've had people get up and walk out right now. There's people in here sitting right now like, I thought I knew this motherfucker, you know? That's what happened, because dog people are hardcore. That's my whole point, man. Dog people are like an authoritarian regime. You're either 100% with them or they'll throw you out the fucking window, dude. They suffer no dissent. Because let me clarify, I don't have a problem with dogs. Dogs, the animals, should be treated with compassion and respect. Anybody that abuses a dog is a piece of shit, right? I'm in the ASPCA. I'm not saying that. I don't have any problem with dogs. I just prefer cats, right? That's all it is. I just like cats. I like little kitty cats. Right? And dog people get weird about that. They do. Like, you ever had a hardcore dog lover ask you, oh, do you love dogs? And you're like, oh, I'm kind of more of a cat person. You might as well be wearing a Michael Vick jersey, bro. They fucking... All the trust and joy drains out of their face. They're shielding their kids from you. Get away from him, right? They want nothing to do with you. They think that makes you a bad person automatically. If you like, y'all don't think there's any bad people that also love dogs? Statistically, they have to exist. Somewhere in the world, there's got to be a ruthless cartel drug lord who's utterly devoted to his 3 Doberman pinschers, right? And he feels the same way about them as you do little Buffy the Bichon Frise. He feels the same way. When those dogs tear a rival drug dealer limb from limb, spreading gore and viscera all over the room, when they do that, this guy's like, who's a good boy? The dog's sitting there with a severed hand in his mouth like, is it me? I hope it's me. Has to be a thing. Some of y'all don't buy that. Some of y'all think that's hypothetical. That's not hypothetical. That's historical. It is. You know who loved dogs? Hitler. So hey, if you don't believe me, ask Kanye. He'll tell you. He knows. It's true. It's true. Adored his German Shepherd. Still somehow not the best guy. I'm just saying, don't get me wrong, you should love your dog. Of course you should. I just feel like some dog people, they put dogs above anything and anybody else, including other people. It gets extreme sometimes. Like the other night, I was taking my trash out at my house. I'm walking down the driveway with my trash bins, and my Jeep is blocking the other end of the sidewalk. I get to the end of it. I almost bump into my neighbor who's walking his Great Dane. We didn't know each other were there. When this happens, the dog loses its shit like, and he's like struggling to hold it back. He's like, whoa, you startled him. I was like, oh, did I? Did I startle the baby? Oh, you're right. That's my fault. It's my fault. Should have got the express written permission of you and Scooby Doan over here before I walk down my own goddamn driveway. That's on me. No, you're right. You're right, dude. Dog people are hardcore. And I don't know, sometimes I'll see a dog and he's wearing one of those little outfits where it looks like his head is on top of a tiny human body. So he's got little arms and legs flopping and stuff. And his tongue's out like, and I just see that and I'm like, have some fucking self-respect, man. What are you doing? You used to be a wolf, bro. Don't let them do that shit to you. Right, but dogs do whatever the fuck a human says, gladly, right? But a cat, though, you go up to a cat and you're like, hey, so I was thinking if you wanted to roll over or play dead or do some kind of trick like that, you know, I'd give you one of these little fishy treats. And the cat's just like, oh, yeah? You will, huh? Okay. Yeah. How about I show you my asshole, Gary? How's that for a trick? Would you like that? Who the fuck do you think you are? No, you know what? I got a better idea. How about this? How about you put some more food in my bowl and maybe I won't fuck your couch up tonight? How's that sound? Telling me to roll over this motherfucker. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just because of where I'm from. Like I said, rural Tennessee, the 90s. Back then, dogs didn't have the same cachet they have today. They did. I had dogs growing up. I had a bunch of dogs. Where that used to work was you'd have a dog, something horrific would befall that dog. Now it's time to get a new dog, which back then, getting a new dog consisted of getting in the truck and riding around until you saw a box of dogs in a dollar store parking lot or something. Now you got a new dog. It was a different world. It was a very different world. That sounds like a very dumb world, but sometimes I think that our current world today might be even dumber, you know, because we're living in a very dumb time and place. This country comes out with new dumb shit every other day. You can't even keep up with it all, right? Some people think that means we're getting dumber as a species, like we're devolving. And I don't know if I believe that, not because I think we're smart today. I just don't know if I think we're dumber than people used to be. Because do y'all know how dumb people used to be? A lot. They were a whole lot dumb, y'all. They were like, I know we had plenty of dumb shit when COVID came out. I know we did. But dude, if COVID had come out 250 years ago, people would have been running around like, he's got witches in his lungs. Quick, cast some ashes onto the nearest flame so that the evil spirits might not gain purchase. I don't think we're dumber than them. Which means we're not getting dumber overall, dude. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I wish we were. Sometimes I think it'd be great to be dumb. I do. You know why? Because dumb people are confident, man. They are. They are. Dumb people got it all figured out. You're like, what do dumb people have figured out? Everything. Everything. You don't believe me? Ask the dumbest motherfucker you know. All right? Picture him in your head right now, the dumbest motherfucker you know. I guarantee you that sumbitch got it all figured out, dude. They all do. All of them. They don't have existential crises. They don't lie awake at night staring at the ceiling like, am I blaming the Jews enough? You know, like they don't do that. No doubt about it. They don't have doubt. Dumb people don't have doubt. Smart people are racked with doubt every day. Smart people are like, I think I'm going about this the right way, but what if I'm wrong though? What if there's information I don't yet have? What if there's factors I've not yet considered? What if I'm wrong about this? Dumb people are just like, life's a butthole, baby. Fuck it. And I'm jealous of that, man. I am. I think most smart people are jealous of that if they're honest with themselves. Why do you think this shit's so popular with smart people? Drug and alcohol abuse is more prevalent statistically among the more intelligent members of society. Why do you think that is? Because this shit's just liquid stupidity and we're all chasing that dipshit dragon, baby. It's true. It's true. People call alcohol liquid courage. They try to act like it temporarily makes you confident. No, it temporarily makes you dumb, and confident is a side effect of dumb. That's how it works. And we all know, we've all experienced it. You go out one night, you're drinking, you're lighting the room up, you're the life of the party, you're killing it in your head. Right? You go home, you wake up the next morning like, God, I'm such a fucking idiot. Why did I say all that dumb shit last night? What is wrong with me? Right, well, imagine you never had to wake up that way. You never had to feel that shame. That's what being dumb is, man. Every day's a fucking Kid Rock concert, dude. Just woo! Woo! I'd like to give me some. Thank you very much, Dallas. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you next time. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.